This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Eighth Pacific Tuna Forum starts in Port Moresby. PNG NRI hosts a one-day stakeholders workshop. And inmates urged to embrace change after jail time. Good evening, you're watching National EMTV News. I'm Malcolm Wyra. Thank you for joining us. The 8th Pacific Tuna Forum started today in Port Moresby, following the Pacific Leaders Summit in Kokopo and the Pacific Fisheries Ministers Meeting, the East New Britain Initiative. The three-day conference was officially opened by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Lands and Physical Planning, John Rosso.
The 8th Pacific Tuna Forum, hosted by PNG NFA, saw the official opening and speeches made by NFA Managing Director Justin Ilakini, who welcomed the Pacific leaders to Port Moresby and what they have to expect in the next 2 days during the conference.
Over the last 3 decades, we have been managing this resource, and we can tap ourselves on the shoulder and say that we have indeed manage this resource really well.
Mr. Ilakini touched on tuna as an economic resource and the significance of this forum to be used as a platform for dialogue amongst the Pacific leaders on the latest fisheries management initiatives and the approaches of regional fisheries management organization in the region in ensuring the sustainability of tuna and other highly migratory and spreading fish stock in the Western and Central Pacific Ocean.
The people of the Pacific, through their governments, have an aspiration to start tapping into that resource. Tuna development investment have not been given the same level of priority as what we have been giving in terms of managing the resource sustainably over the last 3 decades or so.
Representing the Prime Minister, Deputy PM John Rosso, upon highlighting the importance of tuna, also addressed some key issues when it comes to regional protection and how tuna as a resource can benefit all.
Papua New Guinea stands committed to working with other countries in the region and the industry and our industry partners, the most important players also, to pursue sustainable investments in tuna fishery sector. Our trajectory hinges on harnessing our resources judicially and propelling our communities forward.
Deputy PM John Rosso added that he was happy to see ministers and other important delegates meet in Port Moresby to discuss matters concerning the tuna fisheries sector under the theme Strengthening Tuna Sustainability and Industry Development in the Blue Pacific Continent through increased innovation, partnership and participation. The 8th Pacific Tuna Forum that started today will end on Friday. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
The Department of Personnel Management, in collaboration with the Papua New Guinea National Research Institute, hosted a one-day stakeholders workshop regarding the development of the public service housing policy for the national and sub-national levels. This was hosted today at the APEC House in Port Moresby today.
The objective of the workshop is to gauge views of relevant stakeholders on understanding the existing issues, identifying key challenges, and suggest options forward to address the lack of housing in the public service. Chief Secretary to Government, Ivan Pomaleu, during his speech at the workshop, has highlighted 3 draft policies, which are the Public Service Housing Policy, District Housing Policy, and Institutional Governance Framework. Chief Secretary Pomaleu says the Public Service Housing Policy and the related policies will support the implementation of the human resource development in the district. He added that the plan aims to have 70% of public servants working and living in the districts, 20% to be working and living in the provincial headquarters, and only 10% in the head offices in Port Moresby.
My encouragement to DPM and to NRI is let's have a very fixed timetable on when we can finish this job so that we get on to identifying the different development options and start putting some posts on the ground. and handing keys to public servants. That would be success, not the finalization of a policy.
Chief Secretary Pumaleu reiterated on few important points regarding the public service housing policy.
The first point I made was getting our acts together. We can actually, in that one effort, build a collective financial power to stimulate economic activities. Housing development is economic activity that stimulates growth in the marketplace. That goes without saying.
Chief Secretary Pumaleu urged all public servants to prepare and participate in the housing scheme that will be provided. Louis Maingu, National EMTV News.
During the Public Service Housing Policy Stakeholders Workshop today, Minister for Public Service Joe Sungi strongly emphasized on the frontline public servants' housing needs. A similar sentiment was shared by Central Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector Laimo Asi regarding police housing.
Minister for Public Service Joe Sungi stated that he wants to see a solution for public servants to be sheltered properly, which will improve their work performance. Minister Sungi expressed that frontline public servants' housing issues should be solved before government recruits more police officers in the country.
Now we will be recruiting 500 policemen every year. Recruitment and training is one part. The biggest question we're going to ask is, do they have the house ready? Are we building 500 houses for police personnel? When they recruit, they go straight to the houses? What's the budget? Who is doing it? Where is it happening? In which district? In which province? In which barracks? Has the land been secured?
Similar concern was raised yesterday by the Central Province Police Commander, Chief Inspector Laimo Asi, about the lack of police housing in Central Province, which forced Central Police officers to be based and operate in Port Moresby. Louis Maingu, National EMTV News.
Tari in the Hela province has felt an earthquake of the magnitude of 6 at 1 a.m. today. According to the Port Moresby Geophysical Observatory, the quake hit at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers beneath the epicenter near Tari. Shallow earthquakes are felt more strongly than the deeper ones as they are closer to the surface. The exact magnitude, epicenter, and depth of the quake might be revised within the next few hours or minutes as seismologists review the data and refine their calculations. Based on the preliminary seismic data, the quake was probably felt by many people in the area of the epicenter. It should not have caused significant damage other than objects falling from shelves and broken windows. Prime Minister James Marape and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have jointly opened the new Papua New Guinean embassy in Jerusalem yesterday. PNG joins only 4 countries in the opening a fully fledged diplomatic mission in Israel's capital, thus becoming the first Pacific Island nation to do so.
Prime Minister James Marape says the decision to open the new embassy is a sovereign decision based on PNG's Christian principles and worldview. It is highlighted that PNG highly value its bilateral relations over the years have been based on strong Judeo-Christian values and common shared interest. Marape says there is trust in the nation of Israel to ensure that all citizens are in the sovereignty of Israel, and the millions who came in contact with Israel every year will enjoy the hospitality of the government and the people. Marape says PNG has a lot to gain from the Israeli economy through its high technology system in agriculture, education, finance and resource, and infrastructure development. This will include downstreaming processing of rice and fisheries products. Prime Minister James Marape acknowledged the Prime Minister of Israel and his government for facilitating the establishment of PNG resident embassy in Jerusalem Jerusalem, highlighting that it will ensure smooth and practical flow of boat relations to support PNG's socio-economic development. Marape added that the PNG government will identify suitable land in Port Moresby and invite the Prime Minister of Israel to PNG for the groundbreaking ceremony. Suitable land will also be made available to Israeli investors to bring in their capital to help develop an Israeli PNG special economic zone. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Minister for Fisheries Jalta Wong, following the Pacific Leaders meeting in East New Britain, known as the Kokopo Initiative, said that the outcome of the meeting was very important for the betterment of the Greater Pacific.
Despite not having all the ministers present in Kokopo this week for the East New Britain initiative, Minister for Fisheries Jalta Wong highlighted that the discussion amongst the Pacific leaders when it comes to tuna in the Pacific was successful, where several agreements were agreed upon.
The East New Britain initiative was about creating downstream processing through this hub and spoke program that has been mooted around for quite a long time, and we decided to take it upon ourselves to bring the Pacific together to agree on how to achieve the goal of hub and spokes. And it was also a time for us to reflect and try to the initiative number 2, which was the Fisheries Wealth Fund, where all fisheries countries put money together to a wealth fund to allow, if there was some drastic climate change issues in one country, we could draw from this and work on these agendas with them.
He added that preserving the Pacific waters in terms of protecting the ocean is of great concern for the Pacific community, particularly using the land and sea as our traditional and local environment that Pacific people depend on.
And I'm very grateful to my colleagues of the Pacific who have the vision to unite the Pacific in 2 very key initiatives that will become the status quo of what the future generations will get. And I thank the Marape Rosso government for giving us this push to ensure that the initiatives are met, and the full support I have of the Marape Rosso government.
Minister Wong went on to talk about downstream processing and balancing both the export and imports of tuna, not just in the Pacific, but into the global market, and in return build high economic benefits.
Things within that we have to follow, there's laws and policies to ensure that we bring the capability of what we're trying to export to the same level as the developed countries. And that's going to be the move that we're going to do. And by the time the downstream processing programs come online, we should be able to give the canned tuna, the loin tuna, and all these things fully developed in our country, as well as the other Pacific Island countries which we are partnering with, so that we ensure that the full product is shipped out into the world.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
The Managing Director for the National Fisheries Authority, Justin Ilakini, in his recent visit to Kokopo, East New Britain, mentioned that the East New Britain initiative was in the best interest of the Pacific and other Pacific Island countries. He added that PNG is leading the way in tuna when it comes to the fisheries sector, particularly the tuna business, for the greater economic returns.
Clarifying questions or...
Managing Director for the National Fisheries Authority, Justin Ilakini, during an interview with the media in Kokopo, mentioned that having the meeting with the other Pacific Islands fisheries ministers was very important to know and understand where the Pacific stands when it comes to tuna fishing and the shared equal benefits that individual countries receive from the tuna market.
We'll be having the 8th Pacific Tuna Forum in Port Moresby. That will be starting on the 7th and 8th. That tuna forum is one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, meeting of all tuna practitioners that will involve the academics, the commercial companies, policy makers, everybody throughout the entire supply chain, value chain of tuna will be converging into Port Moresby. So it's going to be a big meeting where we will be discussing about strengthening the sustainability of tuna, and also talking about development, innovative development initiatives, like what we just witnessed today, the Eastern Breed Initiative.
He highlighted on some of the work that NFA and their partners FFA and InfoFish have really supported PNG NFA and the Pacific reach similar goals in the space of tuna.
So when we proceed to, say, building tuna processing hubs in Papua New Guinea, we have the support in terms of supplying tuna raw materials to Papua New Guinea, and also looking at innovative ways of doing business through joint ventures, partnerships, equity contributions, and all that. And it's a totally whole new ball game in terms of the way we've been doing business in the last 35 or so years. And the Eastern Breed Initiative goes in line with the many discussions that will be happening at the Tuna Forum in Port Moresby.
Mr. Ilakini added that Pacific Island countries value the importance of maintaining dialogue, as it can be seen by the numerous regional fisheries conference, especially the tuna management-related meetings that are held each year in the region. He added that such dialogue will assist countries in the region to come together and develop common positions and strategies to ensure the sustainable management of tuna in the Pacific region. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
To help combat cancer in Papua New Guinea, the Pacific International Hospital has announced that its oncology services or cancer treatment facilities are now available. This announcement was made following the closure of the Port Moresby General Hospital's Cancer Department for an indefinite period. The cancer services available at PIH include oncology or cancer specialist consultation, advanced facilities for diagnosis of cancer, histopathology lab, chemotherapy, stocking of latest drugs, including the procurement of latest and affordable drugs for chemotherapy, and free consultation for public cancer patients. PIH understands the immediate attention and urgency around cancer patients, hence urging those in dire need to visit the specialist cancer facility to seek the care they need. The marginalized youths from the Hiri Koyari district of Central Province have been participating in skills training offered by the Baratu Operator Skills Training. This is to ensure youths are qualified for employment with industrial companies and diverting their attention from engaging in criminal activities.
The demand for skills training such as the plant operator and welder is increasing as development expands to various parts of the country. The executive director for Barutu, Tony Ombora, highlighted his inspiration behind the establishment of the training institute.
And a plant operator with over 14 years of experience by excavator, grader, dozer, front-end loader to big trucks and few others heavy equipment. My inspiration to set up this training institute is from seeing our marginalized youths in various remote parts of Central Province struggle in life and resort into drugs and crime.
Mr. Ombora revealed that the Training Institute is a fully fledged central training institute that aims to train the youths in the province. He further elaborated on how they go about offering the course.
RCB is one of our passionate supporters in localizing plant operator knowledge in Central Province. RCB currently is our main partner and supports our mobile institute with logistics and students practical.
18 youths have attained their certificate in excavator and bulldozer training. They have undergone 4 weeks of theory lessons and 4 weeks of intense practical training with the assistance from the RCB General Service Limited. Governor for Central Province Rufina Peter has been supporting the institute with a tuition fee of 32,450 kina for 49 students. This was revealed by the governor's executive officer today at the graduation ceremony.
As I am aware, Baratu Operators Training Center started in 2021. This year, 2023, is the second graduation. And the governor is supporting your expansion for your school, your skill in the areas of the skills, new courses, and expansion into Central Province as you envisioned.
These youths have been promised employment by the RCB General Service Limited and Lagu Transport as part of their social responsibility. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
Inmates of Mosby South Electorate detained at Bomana Prison have been urged by Sergeant Peter Tedor, officer in charge for community policing at Badili Police Station, to embrace change after serving their time in jail. This was made known upon his visit to the prison yesterday afternoon.
During the visit, Sergeant Tito told the inmates that their time in the prison is temporary. He said the crimes they committed does not define them. They are unique with so much potential and hidden talents which they could use to contribute meaningfully to the development of their community and country as a whole. Sergeant added that being an agent of change is an individual choice.
Nothing is stopping anybody from changing. You can change. He can change. She can change. From here, you can become somebody outside because you embrace change, you accept advice, you accept knowledge from nowhere to somebody.
Tito highlighted that the purpose of their visit is to establish network through such programs so that once these inmates serve their time, they can be engaged to go through rehabilitation programs and trainings that will impact them positively. That is Kila, National EMTV News.
Now we take a look at the NESFAN market report. The kina closed unchanged at $0.2770 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.2695 $0.4201 Australian dollars, 0.2438 euros, and 39.44 Japanese yen. Looking at the commodity prices, at New York closed, gold is trading higher, coffee closed higher, cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, palm oil closed higher, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues after the break with Chukai Sports. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Preparations are underway in Medang to host the Momase Youth Games from September 25th to the 30th. The game aims to promote regional unity through mass participation at the grassroots level, as well as making sports a career pathway. 16 districts out of the 26 districts in Momase region have confirmed their participation and are preparing for the games. The Papua New Guinea 3x3 basketball team will announce its final squad later this week after the PNG Olympic Committee's Justification Committee endorsed the final four for each divisions ahead of the 2023 Pacific Games in Solomon Islands.
The PNG 3x3 basketball team bound for Honiara in November have completed their final day of training, whereby, after their training camp, a list will be submitted to PNG Olympic Committee to approve before the names are released for 4 athletes for both the men's and women's divisions, respectively. The final training camp on Sunday at the Taurama Aquatic and Indoor Centre included 12 athletes who were already in the team. However, 8 would travel while 4 would be non-traveling reserves. For the men's team, they're all Port Moresby based in the likes of Sibona Kala, Moses Lune, who are 2 experienced players on the roster. Then we have the upcoming players, Reginald Lelang and James Gator, among Jordan Sere and Tony Harrow in the team as well. Initially, the training camp started with 11 men and 11 women, but the team was trimmed down and it's now 6 men and 6 women in the final train-on squad. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Looking at the southern region, Port Moresby City, possible inland thunderstorm. Daru, partly cloudy and windy. Kerema, possible brief showers. Alotau, few showers. Popondetta, possible brief showers. Looking at the Momase region, Ley City, partly cloudy. Medang and Wewak, possible brief inland showers. Vanimo, possible brief showers. Looking at the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengaun Caving, few showers. Kokopon Rabaul, few showers. Kimbe, brief showers. Buka, few showers. Looking at the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, few showers. Gorokan Kundiawa, few showers. Mendi and Wabek, few showers and possible thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Wednesday, the 6th of September, 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Gold Nuggets.